Hi, welcome to Urban Goes Green, and this week I'm here with Stephanie David, and she's a colleague of mine at Urban Reforestation, and we're going to be talking today about public health and community health. So maybe, explain a little bit about where you're coming from in relation to those topics, and then how that kind of ties in with what we're doing at Urban Reforestation.
Sure. Well, I'm a trained urban planner and have been working in the urban field for some time now, and have teamed that with environmental management. So I guess public health and wellbeing for communities has always been, in principle, what we have been trying to design and develop within our profession. So for me, I've never really seen public health as distinct from urban planning or the growth of urban areas. And what we're seeing currently in Melbourne is not dissimilar from any other part of the world. With urbanising populations, we see a growth of urban areas, and with that we see, unfortunately, a disconnect from the types of infrastructure and services needed that encourage and support overall health and well-being. So with that, I guess, equation, we see a disconnect from people and the types of infrastructure and services that they would be requiring, and that comes from largely from an absence of things such as local employment opportunities, local education opportunities, and the all too familiar longer drive and commute to the place of work or the place of home. Okay, so what you're describing, the current situation, like what do you think could be intervention points into, maybe turning that scenario around, and where would you, if you had your way, like to see it steered in, like in terms of where we're going with public health? I definitely see a re-emergence of local investment. I think that we have been largely focused on urban growth at a larger regional scale, and over time what that's meant is that there's been an increase in the distance between where people live and everything else in their life. So to combat that, and the intervention would be to build social capital and the local potential of people to be able to be educated and employed and be part of a community in a local space. And so that's what we've been talking about in terms of the outcomes of what Urban Reforestation as an organisation does. And its services is to activate local communities in various different ways depending on the community. Right? Definitely, and Urban Reforestation is a great facilitator in that change and in the realm of local environments for health. So in terms of this link with community development and public health, because you were saying before that you think that there's a bit of a disconnect between the two things. So how can you bring the two together? I think fundamentally people have to view investment in community development as health. I think for too long we've seen themselves as separate and not in the same equation, and decision makers are realising that investments in community development lead to improved health and well-being outcomes. Definitely. Definitely. That's really good. So interventions through the work such as Urban Reforestation at Docklands exemplifies that in its purest sense. And I've seen from an ethnographic point of view, actually observing what's happening in the garden and individuals and their lives that are affected just through a simple intervention like the garden, and how that has definitely helped to improve their quality of life. And so that to me is an indicator of, this type of work is invested in, it can really benefit. Absolutely. And I think particularly we have to remember that our current health issues are preventable, and they have come across and be largely influenced by our urban environments, so that if we can invest in interventions that help reduce the likelihood of people feeling social isolated by such things as a community garden or a collective space in which to operate, then slowly and surely we see a reduction of mental health issues.
It's really interesting to think about this culture change that we're describing, and actually the way to make it happen is through people actually change their behaviour through different environments. So rather than focusing on culture change per se and that sort of level, actually by transforming an environment, it actually helps to facilitate that behaviour change in that way.
Definitely, and I think that no one can view culture change as being injected into an environment. It's built over time. It's built by the people who own the environment, who use the environment, and who help change the environment.
That's good. So, in terms of, is there anything else you'd like to add?
Not for now.
I think that we've summed up pretty much what we wanted to talk about today, and I think just on one more note, the idea of climate change, something that I've been looking at quite a lot lately, something I've avoided a lot in terms of discussion in the past, because I see it as being such an abstract idea, and it's something that individuals in the community can't really, or don't really feel a way to actually take action. And so I'm thinking about what you're talking about today in terms of public health and community and localisation as being really a very tangible way to address climate change, and really even let's change the story a bit around. Do you want to add to that? You know what I'm saying? Change the story from climate change to actually something different.
Yes. That
actually really, where people feel like they can actually do something and feel a part of something.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. And it's bringing the abstract into the real, and I think project by design such as urban reforestation is reinstating the importance of things such as climate change and public health.
On that note, thank you very much for listening in today, and thanks Stephanie for coming today. And looking forward to working with you more in the future.
Likewise, thanks.